The leader that I have chosen for my digital story is Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, also known as Alexander of Macedon, was one of history's most effective leaders and celebrated conquerors. He was born as heir to his father and Macedonian king, King Philip II. He was taught and even acquired his knowledge from the great philosopher Aristotle himself, and by ways of courage, bravery, and influence, his great ambitions led him to conquer all of Greece and even take on the great Persian Empire. At the height of his reign and achievements, Alexander's undefeated empire stretched all the way from modern-day Italy all the way to the unknown world of what is now known today as Iraq. The reason I decided to choose Alexander the Great as my leader is because he has been my idol ever since hearing his great stories as a child growing up. I've always wanted to be just as ambitious as he was, achieving his goals and objectives effectively while staying true to his values. I believe that we also have very similar and common personalities with regards to ambition, with a vision to lead by way of change using a forward-looking strategy. Leadership styles and qualities. Alexander the Great was both a visionary, authoritarian strategic leader and highly ambitious. A trademark of a visionary leader is one's ability to empower their people towards a common goal by use of persuasion, charisma, and high emotional IQ. These are foundational traits that Alexander used in order to articulate his vision for his goals and the pathways that were needed to get there. He was also authoritative and strategic. Alexander used a strategic style of leadership in order to effectively crush his great armies even when outnumbered 3 to 1. He was a bold but calculated risk taker who understands that the power of surprise can be used to his advantage when being undermined by his rivals. He would charge head-on, attacking large static armies at the front and surprising them and pinning them by the side. He knew that a well-executed strategy is better than having just large armies without any unique tactical approach. He was also authoritarian in that he made sure that he was the one in control at all times and did not require any feedback from his soldiers. Ambition. He was highly ambitious as well in that he envisioned conquering most of the known world and would risk everything in order to attain that goal. Many people would consider this type of military goal to be neither realistic, timely, or achievable in today's standards. Yet it was achieved by Alexander in less than a decade, all while being undefeated. Leading others. Leveraging strengths, strong influence among peers, and communicating effectively are just a few of the ways that Alexander used and implemented in order to become a great conqueror. An effective leader must be able to understand the diversity within his team. An example of this was when Alexander created a troop formation known as the Macedonian Phalanx, which consisted of a highly group of trained footmen carrying 6-meter-long spikes called the sarissa, effective for facing off and pushing back large static armies. He would use this to push through the enemy lines at the front, while having his swordsmen at the side and having his bowmen watch from the rear. He made sure to position all his soldiers relative to their strengths and weaknesses, which helped him to win many different types of wars in different areas. Strong influence among peers. He also had strong influence among peers. Alexander used influence of leadership, which helped him to build confidence in himself among his followers. In order to lead a great army, he needed to command and build respect for himself. He achieved this by being brave and courageous. He would lead first into enemy lines head on so that his people could see firsthand that he was in fact the leader that he portrays himself to be both on and off the battlefield. Communicating effectively. Alexander made sure to communicate effectively to his soldiers by taking the time to sit down and eat with them, providing them with feedback on their performance while helping them to become much better soldiers moving forward. This act earned him enormous respect. Leading organizations by way of change through ambition. Even from a young age, Alexander's father, King Philip II, made sure his son's personalities, traits, and habits were molded to be fit for that of a king. As a child, he was taught by great minds such as that of Aristotle, who taught him how to think outside the box and how to think critically. He was required to read many books from great philosophers of Athens and was also required to train in swordsmanship, defensive strategy, as well as the art of war. These are all traits essential needed to create a changed leader so that their ambition can become a reality. This is a picture of an Aristotle teaching a young Alexander about philosophy. Leadership effectiveness. Alexander the Great was both a risk-taker and results-oriented. Now, to say that Alexander was brave and courageous would be an understatement. He was only a teenager when he embarked on his first military expedition, winning against the Thracian army, winning it successfully and easily. He was also heavily resource-oriented. He made sure that each of his actions and every decision he made contributed towards the achievement of his vision, mission, and values. For example, at the Battle of Issus, he was heavily outnumbered but managed to win the battle against the large static Persian army by using both strategic formations as well as the element of surprise. He would analyze the performance of every strategy implemented on and off the battlefield, evaluate what worked, what didn't, and what could be improved on, and then adapt as necessary. At such a young age, even before reaching the age of 30, he had conquered most of the known world to ancient Greece with an undefeated record, never losing a single battle. Some of his most notable achievements in history include the ones below. The Battle of Issus. In conclusion, Alexander the Great has gone down in history as the most effective and influential leader of his time. He was courageous, charismatic, strategic, and a visionary. Although he was still young at the time of his death due to malaria, he managed to achieve many accomplishments within only a decade that are still renowned and even unrivaled to this day. As such, I look up to him and try to encapsulate many of his leadership traits and qualities into my own personal lifestyle. He is one of the greatest leaders in all of history, forever making an imprint in my own beliefs and ideology. As such, this is why I decided to choose him as my leader of choice. Thank you.